Holy smokes, Blake's talking to me backstage, and it's so engrossing. It's not grossing me out, but it's so interesting that we could have kept going backstage, going on this stuff. A lot of stories we're covering today. Today's title: Trump stands really the world with the South African. Already, the lamestream, the legacy media is running in, carrying water for the message. As they say, the message, the narrative. But it's unequivocal. The evidence is there. These idiots in South Africa calling for a lot of trouble, death left, right, and center. Remarkable footage of the conference in the Oval Office. Somebody made a good comment about our prime minister. I hate even saying it, our prime minister, but we have very little to do with it. I didn't vote for this fucker, and he's way back east. It has nothing to do with us on the island. But nonetheless, he's some sort of oligarchical figure overseeing our benefit, our welfare. Fuck him. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. It's great to see Rachel's Ghost here, along with my partner in crime, I like to say, because we're taking it to the deep state daily, Blake McKenzie.
Hello, everybody.
So we got this thing. I guess we'll start off. If you got the Biden thing, is this what we got, or Trump in the Oval Office today? Office. All right, so this is a big one. We'll just play this, and I'll make it big. We'll get to the audio portion. Can you make that video go big? But let's read the line first, all right? Libs and TikTok, this is a great account. Everybody should be following this account. Don't listen to the fact that Stu doesn't subscribe. Okay, just mute him for a sec. Trump has played a compilation of South African leaders calling to kill white people and steal their land in front of the South Africa's face. I mean, the balls on this guy are giganormous. Play the clip, please.
And just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament. Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Gaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Holy smokes. Okay, so you see it, pull it down. We didn't watch the whole thing. But, I mean, just the unbelievable that the Trump's actually showing this guy. And one of the pundits was commenting, if you look at the Oval Office situation there, Elon Musk, who's born in South Africa, is standing behind the couch where Vance is, the vice president. And you could see just daggers coming out of Elon Musk's eyes into these guys. What do you think? Is this a misstep on Trump's part, or is this something worthwhile doing? Is this smoke and mirrors? What do you think, Blake? What are we dealing with here?
He called a spade. I mean, that's how.
Hold on, Blake. Let's not be racist. Spade is spade. Holy smokes. That's very controversial. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, because a card game is just full of color. Essentially, he called it out. I mean, the fact is that we've been seeing this anti-colonial, settler, indigenous type of warfare being used by the left against white people, because that's really what it is around the world, because you don't hear them talking that way to other quote-unquote colonizers from, say, the Middle East or Asia or any other places that are colonizing parts of the world. So the fact is that the far left has infected so many different people into believing that somehow white people are the problem. Except I doubt Nelson Mandela would be leaping in the stands, approving of this behavior of their current leadership. The whole point was the Truth and Reconciliation was to reconcile, bring peace, and be a colorless society in South Africa. But these guys that have taken over, because I know some people from South Africa have been talking about this not for a few years. This has been about 10 plus years in the making. Like, these are basically radical fascists. They want to massacre people. That's how they've got it built out, and in their minds, and that's what it's all about. So let's call it again. I think Trump likes to just call out truth. I mean, he calls his social media platform Truth Social. Let's cut the bullshit. Let's stop talking in ways that masks our true intentions. Just say it. This is what we want to do. And but these guys want to, what are they going to make Idi Amin a hero now? I mean, this is how insane this world has become. But he was right. And then apparently it backfired on these guys in the White House, because supposedly they had brought in some white golfers from South Africa that were supposed to be sitting there going, no, we agree with the government. Whites are fine. This is BS. Well, it turns out one of them says, well, actually, it's true. My families are farm. My uncle's a farmer, and his friends have been getting killed, and they're seeing it on a mass scale where these murders are happening all over the place. It is being promoted by the government. Their own political speeches and rallies show this as well. This is an attempt to rally up mass genocide. That's what it is. And people seem to think he brings 40 people over from South Africa, and left goes mental, right? Yet they'll bring in millions of people from other parts of the world, including Ukrainians, and nobody says a word. So let's call it for what it is. This is just more Orange Man bad, Whitey's bad, be ashamed of who you are, European culture. But you know what? I'll point something out. If these guys want to go toe to toe with let's face it, who these guys were historically, these were the Boers. This is an entire group of people who fought the British Empire for 3 years. So let's call them for what. Canada was in South Africa at that time, sending troops to fight the Boers. So if you want to get on with the Boers, they'll fight. Let's just call it for what it is. But I don't think anyone wants that. Peace is what they need. Peace is what they need. That's what Trump wants. But I wouldn't push these guys too much further, because they will fight.
Okay, let's take a look here. We got some comments from the PDK. I want to take these on one by one. It all went to hell when they ended apartheid. Correlation is not causation, Dave. So, you can't have apartheid. You can't have institutionalized racism. That is a thing, right? If you're black, if you're white, if you're yellow, green, whatever, you can always do whatever the hell you want. Everybody should have equal opportunity. Equal opportunity does not necessarily equate to equal outcome. Okay, but the opportunity should be there for everybody. That's my take on that. So I disagree with you that correlation is not causation. And with that, Dave, Amber goes, I hope our nation's first out on bail felon president is able to get rid of the Constitution. I hope not. We want the Constitution. I believe this president supports the Constitution. The fact that he's out on bail and is a felon is a bunch of bullshit. I can make you a felon in 2 minutes, Amber. All I need to do, you show me the Amber and I'll show you the crime. I'll make a crime fit for you. I can change laws just so I can ease my access to suing your ass and putting you in jail if needs must be. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the whole. So that's my response on illegally running third term. All that. That's absolute nonsense comment. This is your other channel, correct, Billy Budd? Why won't you show my fact check? Give me your fact check. Trump has everything arseways, mate. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You got to figure it out. We showed the film. What about the film don't you believe? I think you got to suss that out. I'm not going to deal with bullshit obfuscation. We got MSNBC, CBS, ABC, the usual suspects, the New York Times, all coming out saying it's not happening.
Yeah, but misinformation networks.
The truth is, it is happening. Okay.
Tell that to the people in 1970s Rhodesia. It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. I remember the photos as a child of seeing bloody bodies in the streets everywhere. So yeah, it's happening.
Yeah. And Jakub, felon sex offender Don Old, that makes no sense. You know, I handle fuckers like you. I block your fucking ass. Come on back, as there another thing, and I'll block that too. I've been at this for too long to suffer fucking fools like you. You want to fuck around, you'll find out. Just like the goddamn Democrats are fucking around and finding out. We got fire in the hall. Holy hell, we got a barn burner on our hands, Blake. Let's go to our next clip. What do we got here? Hang on. Let's see what we're going to get. Scoozy's got something in the cannon for me. Hang on. We're going to show it to you, kids. So get fired up. Okay. Okay. Oh, do you want to? Okay. Hold on. Let me get this thing. Okay. There it is. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? President Trump, South African president. Look, he goes, death, horrible death. The common denominator here is death. Trump then hands the president a stack of murdered white farmers. This whole family was wiped out. Why don't you arrest those that are calling for genocide? So Trump taking it. And you know what? I got to tell you, Blake, my suspicion on all this, and I'm not going to play it. We don't, it's all out there. The information is out there. But I want to tell you, Blake, my take on that is I think Elon's been talking to President Trump, and it's his influence that's come in here, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's been calling it out for a while now on X, so he's been pushing it hard because, I mean, it said, I know people who have immigrated to Canada to escape that. And I've had staff from South Africa in my business. Same story. This has been going on for a lot longer than just now. This has been building up for at least 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, and I mean, this is it's kind of apartheid in reverse is what's happened. And it's unfortunate the way things have gone, but I love the idea that Trump has opened the borders and said, because these people are being persecuted. The evidence is there. The film evidence is there. The anecdotal evidence is there. The golfer in question was Retief Goosen, by the way. He's a hell of a golfer. He won, I think, the U.S. Masters a few years ago, like maybe 15 years ago. I remember watching him win. A very soft-spoken guy. A lot of people talk about Goosen. If you like golf, I mean, I like golf. Jeebers, sounds like Stefan should be here for this one. We talked to Stefan. He's our friend in South Africa. And Stefan kind of stumbled because he's a left-leaning kind of guy. But even he was forced to admit that it is an absolute shit show in South Africa. We played the clip a few days ago of the Chinese citizen. I guess he's an employee, a rep over there for China. And he's in with South Africa. You guys had a railroad system left you. The entire infrastructure was there for you to profit by, build upon, and improve your culture. You idiots went and tore it all apart. And the black guy's just sitting there going, I got nothing. He can't even say nothing to it. He's just hanging his head in shame.
Well, and I think the warning to the world on this is social justice run amok, because that's what social justice is about. It is not what the left tries to portray it as. It is a eye for an eye methodology. That's how they think. And that's the worry you need to watch out, because it always goes to the worst ends. Always. From the Marxists, look what every country they have touched and taken over, they become the worst brutal, because they're allied to their socialist tendencies, like the fascists in Germany were socialists, the Maoists, the Stalinists. They murder and murder and murder. That is the end of your social justice. So lefties, cancel social justice. That is not justice.
And again, the usual suspects, it's the legacy media. They're trying to spin this thing. Ultimately, they fail. And they're going to fail again with this. The evidence is clearly manifest. What have I got here, Sue, to bring up? I got a Biden thing to bring up. He's always worth talking about a little bit. Let's see what we got. Let's bring it up. We'll deal with it as we're here. I love a little cat turd. Oh, yeah, this is really interesting here. Everyone knows they cheated big. Now this is one of the things you can't talk about on YouTube. So we're just going to leave it here for your own recognizance, vinyl community.
How about we just call it a symbol 81?
Yeah, you say number 81. Holy smoke. It's just, here's everybody in the 60s, right? And then you get this yodel. One of these things doesn't belong. So I thought that was interesting. I came across, and we're going to find out. A lot of the situation here is we've got so much that's been obfuscated, so much smoke, so much mirrors, so much buried, so much evidence destroyed, all this sort of thing. Dust in the trail. You ever see one of those old Westerns, and Dusty comes in on his horse and he parks it, say, right over behind the saloon where Blake is.
Right here.
Right in the saloon, and then they're dusting the trail so that King Mosabi can't follow the horse and figure where he's been at. Holy smokes! Vinyl community? Are you kidding me?
Oh, he meant mean Virginia City.
Virginia City. Holy smokes!
Yeah, no, it's actually Goldfield, Arizona.
All right. Let's go on. Okay. Big news also out in New York. Again, the wheels of justice there seems to be something in the air. Like, it seems like we're talking about the arm wrestling thing. It seems like justice is starting to poke its nose a bit. There's a little pushback. We saw Trump very boldly talking high treason, military tribunals. This is the president of the United States putting this stuff out. So Andrew Cuomo in the news. Now, this is something we can't even talk about, but we're just going to put the headline: YouTube, liberal platforms controlling the narrative, trying to. Fortunately, so far, you and I have been able to squeak through, but God knows how long we're going to last on this fucking platform. But anyway, here we go. The headline simply reads, and I'll read this one with all due coding in effect. Andrew Cuomo, who lied under oath, is under investigation from the Department of Justice over his crimes. He's responsible for 7,000 nursing home deaths, allegedly. He must allegedly go to alleged prison, allegedly. Holy smokes. So that is fantastic. The DOJ is starting to look into things. There's a lot of shit that went down during a certain period of time, and a certain time of a certain sickness in a certain village on a certain planet called Earth. And so there was a lot of stuff going on, allegedly. Yeah. That is allegedly going to perhaps allegedly see some sort of alleged justice, allegedly.
Well, and allegedly, Texas has removed any restrictions on anybody who's had injuries from the alleged
injuries.
Yes. From the disease that shall not be named.
Yes,
can actually take action against them. So let's see how that's going to happen.
Yeah. So, again, it points to this idea there's a little bit of a full course press. And of course, talking about high treason, Trump saying, look, Biden's a patsy. Biden's innocent. He goes, here's a man that wanted borders. He wouldn't allow for this. I just love I think there's sarcasm in there, the way Trump's setting it up. But he's a beautiful human. He would never do this. But there were criminals that were doing it. We got to get them. High treason. What's the penalty for treason? Don't answer that. That's a question for you, the Little Peanut Gallery members. What is the penalty for treason? I'll let you grab your little books out.
Look up Nuremberg trials and see what happened there.
Look at the Rosenbergs from the 50s. Holy smokes. Okay, let's see. We got more fun and games to go through. A lot of good stuff going on. So just scatterblast. Okay, we got Blake there. Oh, okay. So we had this whole thing. Oh God. Here's the story. I want to do a couple of light numbers here, Blake. This is one here. Do you want to show Towley? Don't forget.
Happy news.
Here's the happy news portion of the show. It's like, what do you call it? Don't forget to bring a chair. It's little Towley's. Don't forget to bring a chair. This is out of Germany. I just had to laugh when I saw this. This is just absolutely nonsense. Self-defense in Germany. Here's a captain to the left. Germany and European countries like Germany.
He clearly didn't grow up in the 70s with older brothers where they'd roll up the towel, make it wet, and snap it at you.
So bring a wet towel. But, don't bring a towel to a knife fight. Okay, so, look at this nonsense. And of course, the perpetrator's the female. You know, like that's you know.
Is
there's
that no?
a
I
lot
think
of
it's
that.
a guy. I think it's a guy.
What with the long hair?
Yeah.
Are you, wait a second.
Some scary heavy
What are
metal
you
guy,
talking
guitar
about?
player.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
look at his arms. Looks like a guy.
Is it a guy? It may be. No, it's
Could
got boobs, doesn't it?
Are you sure?
I don't know. It's kind
Not
of
like
carrying
there's anything
about
wrong with that, but
It's got no. The person has boobs.
There are boobs.
I believe there's boobs involved.
okay. But
Yeah,
kind of a
there's
male
breasts.
arms. Those arms look kind of.
Well, she works out. She's a trained karateka. The point is that don't fix the problem. You know, this is Germany, right? Don't fix the problem. Just hand everybody a towel. Don't forget to bring a chair. And of course, you know, with knife fighting, it's just absolutely nonsensical.
When
Makes
we all
zero
saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, when the guy pulled a sword out, what did he do?
Well, even though because we wanted to see the whip because he was whipping everything. Hey, we went Indy's so good, and the guy's going, you know, and he goes, "Oh fuck it, yeah, boom."
Yeah, apparently that actually in the film production that was to shoot the swordsman was a last minute decision because he couldn't get the fight to work out properly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Half Towel Will Travel, the great Richard Boone. Remember that Paladin, Half Towel Will Travel? Don't forget to bring your towel. But it's so stupid. And of course, it's like the girl is going against the guy. So in real life, it would generally be the guy against the girl. And I think the statistics bear us out on that. Like the violent crime is most often committed by guys, by the men, because of their testosterone. They're all feisty and fiery. You looking at me? You're looking at me wrong. I'm going to kick your bum. Okay, settle down. You're all strung out.
Okay, Mark, get the marshal.
Somebody get the marshal. There's trouble in town. It's Dirty Towel McDan. And so Dirty Towel McDan. So you coming out with your knife, trying to stop this thing. It's just so stupid. Fix the problem, right? Maybe you shouldn't have knife crime in your streets and try and figure out why there is knife crime in your streets. And I'm not saying anything. I'll leave it to your own recognizance to figure that one out too.
Yeah, they call it cultural enrichment in Europe.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. That's another one. We always got to be careful around with, you know, the YouTube, the stringent thing. Okay. Here's another light one. So we got Germany doing there. This is Bruce Springsteen. This is hilarious. So Bruce Springsteen's out talking about Trump, and I just had to have a laugh over this one. This is some of the fun stuff that's out there. Andy Devine. That's right. Andy Devine. We love Andy. Okay, there's the thingy. Here we go. And do you want to make a little cartoon Big Sue for it, the film? Because it's just a classic. There we go. Here we go. So there's Trump takes a swing. And let's see how he does. Oh, Bruce Springsteen, look out, bro.
Oh, face plant.
There's that beautiful swing of the president. And Trump himself, that's what I love about this. The president himself puts it out there like, you know, just fucking Springsteen. What a moron. Okay. Let's go. Is a productive future linked to dominating or compromising with the opposition? Blake, I'll let you take that on. Then I've got my thoughts on that.
Wow, that's it's a productive. No, I think everybody should be equal, and everybody should come to an agreement to treat each other equally based on the idea that every individual deserves rights and freedoms and should not be infringed upon. So yeah, productive future isn't about but we should be dominating those that want to enslave others. That's where I look at that. So the opposition, in a lot of ways, if you are propagating a political message that enslaves people, then you're in violation of your own constitution. You shouldn't even be allowed to be a politician in that case, if that's what you're trying to cover here. But
the question
compromisation just means that you're bleeding into your values. That's the problem. You know, so I mean, if you want to fight between trade issues, well, that's different, you know, but if you're trying to create social justice, like I was saying earlier, social justice violates the US's Bill of Rights 100%. It does not align. So it shouldn't even be a policy that's allowed to exist.
I think the questions, it's a good question. It's a very broad question. The immediate image that came into my mind, Marty, was Charlie Brown and Lucy. I got all these Charlie Brown, classic Charlie Browns up there. I mean, 20 years of 1950 to 1970. They go beyond that. Schultz dies in 1999, but I got this beautiful collection. I remember Charlie Brown with the football. This time I won't pull it out from your Charlie Brown, I promise. Okay, Lucy, every year, fool me once, right? How does that work? Shame on
me.
You. Shame on you. Fool me twice. Shame on me. The shame is Charlie Brown's. So here's the compromise. How do you compromise with people that have shot at you once, took a scrape off your ear? How do you compromise with people where you're in the bushes trying to kill you? How do you compromise with people that are sworn to throw you in jail, have got your beautiful mugshot in an effort to derail any chance that you might have of getting the presidency? How do you compromise with people that raid your wife's dresser and look through her panty collection? How do you compromise with people that go raid your son's dresser drawer and go into your kid's room looking for those old Playboys with the sticky pages? How do you compromise when you have 51 lying intel head of authority, of legitimacy, saying that a laptop in a presidential debate is not actually true? It's just Russian disinformation. Turns out to be a lie. How do you compromise with people that are running news cycle endlessly, attacking you day in, day out, lying, obfuscating, again, one of my favorite words this week, obfuscating, smoke and mirrors, blowing smoke up our collective asses. There's no white people in trouble in South Africa. I beg to differ. The evidence begs to differ. You can compromise with somebody that's willing to play fair on a level playing field. But when everything's tipped into the crazy zone, there's no compromise. And it's like, and Marty, because I know you personally, I love Marty. I love the Keith Green album where everybody's bowing down to Haman in the beautiful book of Esther. And then you've got Mordecai who stands strong and says, I ain't bowing to this. I'm taking a stand. Do you think I'm saying to compromise with criminals? Tomorrow's criminal is today's politician. I'll say it again. Tomorrow's criminal is today's politician. So what happens, Marty, is the people that seem to have an air of legitimacy about them, when the truth is finally revealed and this stinking turd of a global government and all the agencies in various countries here, there, and everywhere, when it's finally revealed, those politicians will turn out to have been criminals, okay? We're talking treason of the highest order. That's how the president's framed it. I support President Trump. If he frames it as high treason, I think he has access to the intelligence. We know the auto pen was in effect. How do you compromise with people that were giving pardons out, apparently, in what's allegedly a pay-to-play operation? You want a little out of jail? We got the pen. We need a little greenback. Once the money comes in, then we'll pardon you. Because these are the people that Trump is having to deal with. We've got the fucking Democrats talking about a red line, this Democrat congresswoman. They went out and she's under investigation. I believe she's been indicted by the Department of Justice for kind of attacking ICE officials. They went there in protest. She's pushing them around. They got video evidence of that. So how do you compromise with that? And then you get people like Eric Swalwell, who's fucking Fang for God knows how many years, the Chinese spy, not alleged. This is fact. This has already been disclosed. Fang the spy. There's no compromise with Fang. You can't compromise with Fang, Marty. And so that's what I mean. So the people you're asking the compromise to occur with, in large measure, are criminals, and they're going to be evidences. So, and not some kangaroo type criminal. I'm talking manifest, evidentiary, solid stuff, not like this bogus bullshit of Trump attacking Jean Carroll in an apartment store in broad daylight, that she can't remember the day or the month or the year or when exactly it all fucking went down. Remember Brett Kavanaugh? He's a rapist, Brett Kavanaugh. And at the end of the day, it was the same thing. We didn't know when it was, what night it was. Her friends said, I don't remember that. Her friends that were with her that night. Absolute fucking nonsense.
Or going even further back with Anita Hill in the 1990s. And
with Clarence Thomas. Yeah,
Clarence Thomas, same thing. You know,
Jim, we've got another one. Paul Sperry is here. Breaking DOJ insiders say weaponized working group director Ed Martin is preparing to blast at least 50 investigatory letters targeting officials. These are the fuckers that, are you asking us to compromise with these motherfuckers, Marty? Who weaponized law enforcement government against Trump and his advisors in Russiagate, the impeachments, January 6th, and the Mar-a-Lago raid. Oh, and show some of the faces of the biggest hits. So these people currently are FBI agents. They're highly regarded politicians from certain quarters of the population, former presidents. Do we compromise with these people? Because I believe the time will tell that these folks are, in fact, criminals. Nick Riddell, I love you, Nick. How you doing?
Well, and I think those people specifically don't walk in with a set of principles politically. Yeah. There is a corruption arm. They are like a criminal cartel. And there's a big difference. We're not talking about compromising with political philosophies, because, you know, you got Marxists, socialists, capitalists, you know, libertarians. That is more of a philosophical, where do we draw the line there? Where do we protect ourselves? But when we're talking about compromising with deep staters, we're basically saying, do we compromise with a criminal organization, a cartel? Do you negotiate with the drug cartels in Mexico? Of course not. You don't do that, because they're valueless. They don't care. Their value is greed and selfishness. And I think that's a big part of that. But those people that we see there, this is literally what was James Bond's adversarial group that was underground, Chaos, or I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, we're dealing with this global cartel that doesn't care about political sides. It's power and control and greed, and taking over what's rightfully yours as a citizen, and stripping you of your rights, and arresting you, and putting you, as you were saying, Rachel, earlier, putting people into jail, what were once legal are now considered illegal, because they can just create a legislation to put you in jail for just being opposition to the cartel. And again, uniparty, I don't think there's a way you can compromise with these people. They need to face justice for all people.
There, unfortunately, I don't have it because the question came up. You know, I have some of this stuff already preloaded. There is a great graphic I showed in yesterday's program the day before of about 50 Republicans that are fighting against Trump on getting his big, beautiful bill passed. All sorts of obfuscation, interference, opposition to Trump from within the Rhino Brigade. And there's a lot of them, Marty, a lot of them. Why does it seem like you're lumping your opposition in one basket? They're bad actors on all sides. I agree. I fundamentally agree. Mitch Romney, Mitt McConnell, Mitt Romney. What's with these Mitchies? Those guys is no good. Liz Cheney, that idiot. There's a whole bunch. Lisa Murkowski, fuck them. Republicans all. In fact, you want to talk compromise? I think it's incredible that Donald John Trump was able to get Democrat Tulsi Gabbard into his administration. I think he was successful in getting Democrat Elon Musk into his cabinet, right, as part of head of Doge. I think it was incredible that the Secretary of Health, Robert Kennedy Jr., Democrat. So Trump has done a very good job of compromising with Democrats. He brought them over. They're seeking to find a thing. So while it seems to do the thing, well, it does seem like you're lumping. Now, likewise, there are good people on both sides. Yeah, that old chestnut. That was another bullshit story the media ran with that turned out not to be true. The remarkable thing about, we knew, of course, the Patriots knew right away. What's interesting about that is Scopes came out with it and actually debunked it. Scopes was one of these, what? Scopes, monkey trials. Snopes. Sorry, I'm confusing the historical Snopes. So Snopes is one of these infamous leftist fact checker that even they had to put the white flag up. There were just too many red flags.
Funded by George Soros too, by the way.
Okay, here's my take on Soros, Blake. Here, let's talk about that idiot for a bit. The problem with Soros, it's kind of like dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses when you talk about the blood of Jesus. It just triggers them in such a mad way that you can't even talk commonsensically, very calmly about the topic. As soon as you mention Soros, the Dems go conspiracy theory. This is a far-right talking point. This is nuts. So you're in crazy world now. You're in goofy coffee taffy.
Tin hat time.
Yeah, it's tin hats all the way. The tinfoil. So Soros, I generally avoid even talking about that guy unless absolutely fucking necessary. Only because he's been elevated and relegated from the sublime into the ridiculous. All right. And they do that. That's another thing that you can do to derail truth is you just take something, an excess point in it, and you go, look here, not here. Don't look here, look here. Like the picture in terms of South Africa, all the white crosses. CNN goes, those aren't actual burials. No, motherfuckers. They're just memorial. They're a symbol of the slaughter that's gone on of the farmers. And the other thing, it's not all white farmers. About 87% of the farmers have been white. The number I'm hearing is 87%.
Just a little fun that Soros is up to.
Okay. And okay, what do we got here? What do we got here? Do you want to play this? I guess we got to play. Hungarian PM Viktor Orban sheds light on George Soros' 2015 plan. This is going to be with at least 1 million asylum seekers annually. It's a plan. It was written. It's published. It's known. Hungarian PM Viktor Orban, a vocal supporter of Donald Trump and a vocal critic of people like George Soros. But there's, that out there. We also know there's pictures of Justin Trudeau. We had George Soros. I'm thinking there's a great famous picture of Trudeau sitting down with Soros. They're having a little chit chat. I want to thank George Soros for helping out with our economy. A lot of what's going on. Holy, this is a favorite part of the show, kids.
Yep.
The Nancy Pelosi applause of condescension towards Trudeau and this frickin' Soros working, helping us with our economy. That's the applause of condescension. Okay, now that we've done that, we got a story here I want to bring up. This one is do this one. Speaking of Canada, can you bring out Canada recession? This is from the National Post. Great news coming out of Canada. Elbows up, motherfuckers, because it's coming in hot today.
Yeah, got a whole list that ties to this.
Okay. So we're slowly inching into the Great White North here with the show. But here's the story. This is just classic. This is even better. This is Canada's Globe and Mail. It's got the little gold check mark. Globe and Mail are some of the most bought off, paid off, government-supported bullshit rags that you're ever going to hear. But here they are. Canada is entering a recession. Will soon bleed another 100,000 jobs. This is from Toronto Dominion chief economist, Little Mary Two Shoes. I don't know her actual name, but there she is. Holy motherfucker. That's absolutely unbelievable. Blake, thoughts on we're in a recession? You excited? Are your elbows up on that? Well, we're showing Trump, aren't we?
I know. Well, the G7, Canada is the worst. We have lagged behind every G7 country all through the disease that has no name now or shall not be named.
Yes.
But for the last 10 years, Trudeau annihilated our economy. Not only did that, but
Yeah.
had worked to tax it out of existence. So for anybody to say that this was just buffoonery behind had no idea what he was doing. He was a WEF convert. He followed them. He put his finance minister as was one of the board members. And of course, Mark Carney comes from that same group.
Yeah.
I have a theory that
Okay.
goes with all of this.
Okay,
And
now
with it-
today's show is the 51st state, and Trump stunned South Africa by
Yeah.
showing the images, the pictures in the film. So let's get into Canada. A lot going on with where Blake and I reside. We're on Vancouver Island, the two of us, different parts of it. But go ahead, Blake, tell the kids.
Yeah, well, we get impacted. All these decisions have been hurting everybody here. And the more I'm watching what's going on today now with Carney,
Yeah.
the more I'm starting to believe this has been a controlled demolition of the Canadian economy. And we're seeing the rats that are left who are looting the public treasury by printing endless amounts of money that a population of only 40 million cannot sustain. So basically, California level size. California has a bigger economy than Canada, yet
Yeah, a lot
Canada has
bigger.
the equal amount and much larger resources than California.
Yeah.
So if we're going to take a look at why would they be doing this, I'm starting to believe all you liberals who went chicken legs up or chicken wings
Elbows
up,
up, Canada.
elbows up, chicken wings flapping in the air. Well, we're here to save Canada from Trump. Well,
no.
I'm going to walk you through some steps here that I think you need to understand. So
Okay.
for the last two, remember, Carney was Trudeau's behind the scenes advisor.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff has been happening that people, of course, the media or Canadian mainstream media was not reporting. I just was looking at some news stories today, not to mention our story
Yeah,
yesterday.
just before you go, I just want to add another resume point. Mark Carney was Prime Minister Chrétien. That thing with the Canada, that guy, that thing
And
with
Paul
the
Martin.
Canada. Yeah, he was the Minister of Finance, wasn't he, under Chrétien?
No, that was Paul Martin.
Paul Martin. He was.
And then they had a civil war for power. Paul Martin ousted basically Chrétien. Chrétien said, "Fine, I'm out of here, but I'm going to change some of the election rules to screw you up," which brought in Harper. Harper was the one that saw.
He's a conservative, so Harper's the stencil. He's like a rhino Republican. Just you can kind of think of conservatives and liberals.
Maybe Rhino Light, but
Rhino Light.
Yeah, he kind of there was some good stuff about him, but regardless,
he still helped China out. Okay.
He was big time. So I think, but see, Carney's first steps into the Bank of Canada happened under Paul Martin. He was a Paul Martin guy, and Paul Martin was seen as a pretty conservative finance minister. He got control of spending, and so Carney was brought in as the Bank of Canada head at that time, and really Harper picked him up for almost his entire term. And so between Flaherty and through the economic downturn of 07, 08, 09, 10, Harper was prime minister and Carney was the head of the Bank of Canada. So there's no doubt. I mean, if Harper didn't want him, they would have gotten rid of him. And if he was really that bad, and why I'm talking about this at this point, because I'm seeing over the last 10 years, economic decisions that made no sense. The absolute destruction of what we would define as the Canadian identity by a liberal government that was purposely saying we were a post-national state. They brought in the fluffy-haired guy, cute and cuddly. Girls loved him. The young millennials at that time. He's so hot. Let's vote for the guy. He's going to save Canada from what? We were actually doing really well financially at the time. There was no need to replace Harper at that time.
Yeah, I agree.
And so the situation changes to this new anti-Canadian type of position where Canada is a post-national state. Yeah. Canada, and he's going around saying, "Well, I love the basic dictatorship of China." This is Trudeau glorifying dictatorships, evil dictatorships, and some people say, well, maybe he could be a baby of Castro, so maybe it's in the genes. I don't know. But the fact is, allegedly, yeah, Margaret got around back then.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, Rolling Stones.
Yeah, way to go, Mick. Attaboy, Mick.
But what I'm saying is, so I'm seeing the signs on the wall that all of a sudden, roll the clock forward to this year and late last year. The savior of the party, they were literally, there's no reason why the Liberals should have won the election. None at all. And they were in the doldrums. We're talking 20% in the polls. Well, I think the Conservatives had a 22% lead on them. But Carney just shows up out of nowhere, which makes no sense to me. All of a sudden, Trump gets elected. Trump all of a sudden becomes the target in the Canadian election. Carney gets seen as the savior to protect us from Orange Man bad, but mainly trade. But the funny thing through all that situation, there was a quick leadership race with two major contenders kicked out. And not only that, when we're talking the left wing of the Liberal Party, which basically consumed the NDP Socialist Party through all this, and got rid of two people of color who were candidates, annihilated them out of there. It was all a rigged election, very similar to what happened to Bernie Sanders. And there was no reason for it. Regardless, he was put in there. He's the guy from the WF. He's the guy who represents the trillionaire asset class banker managers. He comes into Canada. Canada right now is a shambles, has been destroyed for 10 years. One can only assume, why would this be done through mismanagement, or is this being done as a controlled destruction? Because we know economically Canada is really a vassal state to the United States. It has been for a long time. We survive off the United States financially. We survive off the protection, the power of the United States as a benevolent neighbor who's the most powerful, a friendly neighbor. But the reality is the left in Canada gets unhinged so easily. They're unhinged through the disease that shall not be named. They're unhinged for every triggered possible thing. So Trump, of course, triggered this. But let's look at it this. Would Poilievre been able to achieve what the global bankers would want to achieve with the new era, with the Trump world? Or would they be able to bring Canada into economic union with the United States? Would they be able to protect those assets that Canada has for Canadians if that was to happen? And where I'm going with this is exactly what it's coming out with new news today. That more and more, Carney just recently, I'll go back to the election. Trump endorses Carney. He literally endorses Carney. People say, well, no, you're just trying to deflect for Poilievre. No, I actually do believe he endorsed Carney. He represents a huge amount of wealth in the asset manager class. Again, BlackRock, State Street. We talk about all those big asset managers.
He's got his own company.
And Brookside manages $1 trillion in assets. Massive union pension fund investment and pension fund investments, not just union, but pension funds. So, he gets into power. All of a sudden, we find out in the news that there was a secret deal done quietly during the election. Carney never actually charged those counter tariffs, that the tariffs never really happened.
Yeah, very succinctly, whatever tariffs were there, most of them, and this is our legacy media, this is the Globe and Mail and some of the more, high-profile CBC have admitted that Canada quietly dropped like 87%, 90%
during the election
that we had
during the election, when it was all elbows up, we're going to fight. We'll never be the same again with our relationship with America.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when I listen to what Carney said, even then I'm going, it's a spin. Listen to what he says. So he might actually not be the guy that the Liberals thought they were getting, but the people who manage the apparatus financially, the very elites of the banking world, know for a fact, like Brookside, his asset management company, moved to New York in October before he got elected.
Yeah.
So why would he move it to New York? So there's new news coming out today. He mentioned some information alluding to a North American strategic security, a new one, and also a new way in a relationship moving forward with the United States to protect Canadian and U.S. markets. He also said during the conference and election who is the number one enemy to Canada. He didn't say Trump, that all the liberals were all flapping their wings about, their elbows up. No, he said China. That was his exact words. China, not Russia, not Russia. It was China. So sounds like Carney is more of an ally to Trump and Trump's strategic ideas on how to make America great, how to make North America great again. Now we've got all this information starting to pour out that I believe that Carney is here to strategically move Canada into this new economic union. I think, liberals, you've been duped by a double agent who's actually working to bring that union together, because it has to come from the left in Canada. It would not work coming from the right. He is doing it. He's moved his money into the U.S., and now we got news today that Canada Pension Fund, this would be the big enchilada that would freak Canadians out. That what's going to happen to our pensions if we move part of the United States? Well, look at this. Elbows up or something, CBC Watcher writes, Canada Pension Plan Investment Board's total exposure to the U.S. market grew to 47%. It's 714. That's $750 billion. Portfolio is the end of March, according to its annual report released Wednesday. That's up 36% 2 years earlier. Well, who do you think's advising them? It was Carney. Canadian assets are moving into the U.S. Financial Post just reports Canada Pension Fund piles into the U.S. despite the elbows up, Canada, buy Canada pressure. No, that investment is pouring into the U.S. to protect that fund. So if I was strategically making this move to move Canada into a new economic union with the United States, a single currency, a common security market, Trump just announced that Canada is going to be part of the new dome, the Golden Dome, to defend North America. Canada is joining it.
That's it.
And Trump said it yesterday. He made the announcement. Canada's part of that. And as we said, like, what is the big earth-shattering news that they're working on? I believe it is what he wants is a North American security and economic union. Kevin O'Leary is correct. He's got Kevin O'Leary's ear. I think all the signs are showing to that right now. I do believe what we're seeing is the asset managers are pulling out of Europe, pulling out of Canada, moving into the U.S. That will help Canada really have no choice. You will join or you will be left on an island by yourself. Carney's not stupid. He is a banker. He knows where the money is. He knows where to protect, and he will know how to shift that money into a place where it's safe. And under Trump, it will be safe. So that's my projection. When I'm seeing all these news stories pouring out about pension funds moving there, the asset managers are moving their money into the U.S., behind the scenes diplomacy that's happening, that is my prediction. Within 2 years, Canada and the United States will have an economic union.
Okay, powerful comment. Now, one of the interesting things is the RCMP put out a report. This is, I think it was a leaked report. I don't think it was on the up and up. It wasn't something they wanted to put out there. But the Amalgamated Freedom of Information Act, whatever, got this out. And the RCMP said, if the Canadian population knew how broke the country actually is, how broke they are, there would be a revolt. It's revolting. There would be a revolution if the Canadian people found out how broke we actually are. And Blake added something really nice yesterday. We were in our talks. He says, what he's saying is a lot of corrupt politicians going in and just grabbing hand over fist whatever money they can get from this bankrupt system, hoarding it upon themselves because the country is doomed. And even the Globe and Mail is saying, look, we got a recession. And if the legacy media is admitting that we're in a recession and that 100,000 jobs or 10,000, I don't know what the figure was, are going out the door, it just spells doom for this country. We're under extreme financial pressure right now. Trump and the tariffs couldn't have come at a better time for America and at a worse time for Canada. I think there's a lot into what Blake's saying about a possible economic unicorn. Kevin Leary was saying this a lot.
Well, I think it's pushing it even faster and harder now. And it's, when I called it the Canadian corrupt Laurentian elite class are looting what's left of the Bank of Canada because they know it's closing its doors. It's going to be transferred over to the U.S. Federal Reserve. We are going to come under one currency, which means the Canadian debt will then transfer over to a single debt for both Canada and the United States. It will help prop up the U.S. dollar, which is struggling, I've got some other predictions in there, but apparently there's a separate movement to make gold $150,000 an ounce, so that debt gets wiped out with gold reserves. So let's see what happens. That's to compete with the Brick Name. That's a separate matter. But the fact is that I'm seeing this looting going on in Canada. And why do we all see this going on? Because it's been going on for a few years now, and the media will not cover it. It's being exposed by opposition politicians. It's being exposed by alternative media. It's being exposed by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation and other organizations who keep calling for all the billions and billions of dollars just vanishing from liberal corruption. But where's all this money going? There's no investigations. There's nothing. That's what I'm saying. There is a full-on looting of the empty halls as these guys are about to exit.
Allegedly.
No, not allegedly. These are committees that have.
Those are your stringent guidelines, Blake and I are here to tell you it's just all alleged and it's just conspiracy at this point. But obviously I feel your passion for it, Blake. It's
going off to the Ukraine, going off to all these places.
Yeah, we got
billions going offshore to unknown places. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. You're all excited.
Yeah.
Because Canada just announced at G7, Canada is committing $500 billion. 500 billion fucking bucks that we don't have, the Canadian taxpayers, we're giving it over to Ukraine. And with that in mind, it's time for another Pelosi applause and condescension. Well done, Canada. 500 billion off to our friends in the Ukraine.
Over 10 years, 50 billion a year.
There ain't going to be no Ukraine in 10 years, man. The way things are going over there right now. But 2 points to bring up. One is that some pundits have cited on, social media platforms, etc. I think there's some, where there's smoke, there's fire. That, as you alluded to earlier, Blake, if they had gotten Poilievre to stand up for Canada, or if he had fallen over to Trump, that would have been, the left would have gone, it's just typical conservatives rolling in bed with each other. But if you get a guy like Carney, who, to all intents and purposes, his elbows up against Trump, says our relationship with America is over, we're looking to Europe now. And the next thing you know, we're tighter than ever with America and Canada, wanting to get involved with the Golden Dome. I love it. Sounds like a Sikh temple to these Canadian ears. The beautiful Golden Dome. Then you've got Canada there, but getting a guy like Carney to turn the country over, and then he gets King Charles. Now, ostensibly, you might think Charles is going to be here to reaffirm that Canada is firmly in the possession of the crown, and that we aren't, in anybody's book, a sovereign nation. We're still subject to the King of England. The last time I checked, and so. What's going to happen with England? What is the king going to have a little speech? Any thoughts on that, Blake? The king's coming.
Part two of my projection. This is what I'm going. I'm going to
part two.
I'm going to part two to that, and it has to do with Great Britain. And the fact is, Trump has a love for the UK. His family roots, Scottish, buying golf courses there. He loves the United Kingdom. Now let's talk Brexit from European Union. What's he going? there has been a lot of chatter for a few years that we may see the United Kingdom would then become part of a North American Union, essentially the countries from the motherland, if you want to call it, the original English colonies,
Yeah.
that side of it. So I do believe the North American Union will form. It's going to happen, and I think Great Britain will be the next country to be invited into it. And then that puts Great Britain between Canada and the United States as part of that, and also Greenland. So
Yeah.
right in the middle. So we've got, but I'm just saying, I think the King's speech England is in trouble. It's having an identity problem, much like Canada, but it is still seen as a global player. And I think the United States and Canada and Great Britain together will make that Atlantic NATO-like experience, but more than that, an economic union. And I think Great Britain would benefit to that more than they would from the EU.
Yeah, I guess nothing kind of sums up that thought better than this great image. This is a peace arch over in Blaine, Washington, between Canada and the U.S. border. Sue and I have been through there, and Blake's been through there many times. Children of a common mother, Canada and the United States, with our roots shared, because our governments and a lot of what we are founded out of Great Britain when it was great.
And English common law. I mean, that's our legal system's built off the English history and legal.
Yeah, and a lot of British, the Magna Carta, rights for the people, this sort of thing coming through is part of the Western tradition. So pretty cool. Okay, I'll stop sharing this.
Oh, one last thing I want to point.
Yeah,
there is another little piece of news, Sue, if you want to quickly look it up. But apparently there is already a rebellion starting to form within the Liberal Party ranks to put in a mechanism to remove Carney if they don't like him. So you can tell they're setting up this space, because if they know this is happening, but if it backfires on them, they can go, well, we can get rid of him, punt. And so look it up. It's in the news. But essentially, the Liberal Party of Canada is or the MPs are trying to put together a
Yeah. Now this is it needs to be nuanced. We got to find out which names, who's who, and we can understand more whether they're more the left.
In the news. Yeah, if you look it up. Yeah,
are they more
within the Liberals?
All right, yeah, but are they more the right-wing liberals, if such a thing even exists, or the real hardcore lefties? I got to paint my hair pink today, and that's just the guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we just got to figure out what's going on with them. Okay, Paul, Precious King of Loyola, with one of the most powerful endorsements I've ever heard on the program. I don't care what anyone else says. Blake's a good-looking guy. Thank you, Paul. That's beautiful. That's absolutely. Isn't that encouraging when you have the peanut gallery out there? They're throwing peanuts at us, and sometimes they throw a bouquet. What was the old thing? You could get a bouquet, or you get something else in lieu of. Because a bouquet, it's bouquets or bullets or something. You get a boo or you get a lovely bouquet if they like you. Anyway, he likes the cut of your jib, Blake, and I do too, and it's fantastic. Thank you for that, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, Sue's got another headline for us. Let's take a look, see what we're dealing with here. Let's go big or go home. Globe and Mail, Canada pension plan abandons their net zero target. What?
Because they're moving all their money into the U.S., just like we talked about.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. Again, Globe and Mail's got the gold check mark of legacy media. So what is this, Blake? So the Canadian, we got net zero. For anybody that's got their head under a rock, what's net zero all about?
Well, it's the whole carbon tax plan. So essentially, that was a big liberal flag that they ran under for years under Trudeau.
Yeah.
And the NDP and the Green Party were all about bringing into net zero carbon emissions. So they were essentially taxing Canadian industries from being able to compete with these. But they also created a social credit-like system that they would only invest in companies that believed and promoted the net zero concept, right? And that's essentially what it was all about. But what's interesting, going back to the earlier story, that the Canada Pension Fund is piling all their money into U.S. investments to protect that pension plan, and that story comes out at the same time. So we know what's happening. As I'm saying, it's all part and parcel. It is this mass shift of capital that's moving into Donald Trump land, the United States of America, under the protection of the United States. And I think they have to get rid of that, because that means build, baby, build, drill, drill, baby, drill. We are going into a new economic engine of producing all of our resources, mining, gas production, from natural gas to oil to lumber. He wants it all to be built here for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think the pension plan is only reflecting what they're doing with their money right now.
Yeah.
There's that link that Blake was looking for.
Okay, so you got this thing. Okay. Anyway, what I want to say again is just about that, like the money that's going south, because Trump said, I'm not going to do it militarily, but I'm going to use economic force to get Canada, bring them into line. We've dropped our counter tariffs. We've dropped our punch. We're not counter punching. We've surrendered. We bowed the knee to Trump. He's knocked us out in the first round. You know, it's like, it's the invisible punch of Muhammad Ali. You know, it's like we're out there, Cassius Clay at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, here you go. What do we got? Let me see. Sorry, Blake. Here we go. Okay. Liberal MPs consider voting for power to trigger leadership review after the Trudeau experience. So they're blaming it again on Trudeau, all the trouble. They did not want to relive the situation that we just went through, where you got this horrible leader and they want to be able to remove him. Can you just scroll it up just so we could look at Art Carney? There.
Art Carney.
Well, Gleason won't forgive him. Can you scroll it? Holy smokes, woman. No woman, no cry. There he is. There. That's all you need. Look at that. That's fantastic. A lot of hair out there, wigs for chic wigs. All right, there you go. So anyway, that's the point Blake is bringing to our attention, is that the Liberals have got a safety mechanism, because Trudeau was an absolute disaster. Nearly cost them the election. I love the fact that Trump waded in. Everybody's mad at Trump. They're all looking, but it's the old feint. Don't look here, look here. It's the old Statue of Liberty play.
I remember this video. Do you remember years ago that somebody had posted up on the internet? It was a guy with a flashlight on the back wall with a bunch of penguins down below looking at it. And he kept moving the light, and the penguins' heads would just follow the light flashing in the sky. But that's the point. You keep watching that big shiny object in the sky that you keep throwing out there at you. Look behind you, because that's what's really happening. And there's a couple other stories that I've been following as well. And that is both the UK and Canada are seeing a mass exodus of their millionaires. Over 10,000 millionaires in 2024 left the UK. And in Canada, 3,200. And people say, well, who cares about those millionaires? Actually, those millionaires are the ones who create investment, create jobs. They are leaving. And where are they going? The majority of them?
America.
To the United States. Yeah. Exactly. So there we go. It's all on. There's your recession. No money left.
That's a powerful issue. It's a burning issue right along with hemorrhoids. A lot of people are talking about this. Rachel, what do you think of failed attempt to outlaw the tush push? I've come out repeatedly in favor of tush pushing. And I don't want to see an end to it. Not in my lifetime. Not in my watch, mister. Thank you so much for that, Paul. Great comment. Keep these great comments like this coming, kids. We love them. But, okay, so what else? We got a number of stories we're following here. There's so much going on in this wacky world of ours. Did we do weaponized Dems? Yeah, we did that one, right? Where they're going after all these Dems that were going after Trump. So that's being investigated.
Let's go with that.
Okay, here's one. Do the Coots parole. This is a Canadian story. This talks about we're talking about divided crime in Canada. It's just nuts. We had this guy attacked this woman down in Vancouver, as story broke, and she's all bloodied up. She's got a black eye, and this guy's already out in parole. Okay, this guy's out in parole for beating this woman up. He's at like some sort of halfway house in Vancouver. But here we got this story. The parole denial for a first-time Canadian offender involved in the 2022 Coutts border protest has raised concerns about bias and fairness. You think? Yep. Especially given the common approval of parole for violent criminals. And of course, we just saw that guy who had stabbed the girls at the bed and breakfast in Vancouver. He's already out having pizza, or maybe whatever else it would be, whatever they eat. But the point is, there seems to be two standards of justice. Blake, tell the kids what happened at Coutts, why that's important. What's it all about? What happened down there?
Well, Coutts was part of the trucker protest. So it was an Alberta-focused border crossing protest because the truckers were being unfairly targeted. That's where it all began, with the mandates that they would have to, when they were already pretty much living on their own by themselves. They were already social distancing, but essentially Coutts was a secondary protest point where the truckers were down blocking a border between Alberta and Montana. And so that crossing, the RCMP got involved. They got accused, and literally there was thousands of people down there. People don't realize there was a lot of people down there. And these guys were accused of organizing, very similar to January 6th, an insurrection. And they were apparently, the RCMP were saying that they were planning they had guns and weapons to use to create an insurrection at the border, to shoot at the police, that they were trying to promote that. And it was complete BS. It was complete garbage. And what happened there was a very peaceful assembly. They talked to the RCMP. They would meet all the time. But the police were acting what the RCMP was, a paramilitary force on behalf of the government, went in and vandalized a lot of their vehicles overnight. So they did covert operations. There was all kinds of stuff going on in Coutts. But yeah, very similar to what's happening to Tamara Lich and the other organizers of the truck convoy protests.
So first time, he never hurt anybody, never shot anybody, committed no violence, first time offender, and they won't give this guy parole. And yet we got the guy that's knifing the two girls at the B&B. We got this other guy who punched the hell out of this girl. She got a big black eye.
And she was a tourist.
And these are just friendly tourists. There goes the tourism industry. I got one to share for you. This is huge news right now. And it seems that wherever there's a liberal city, they all seem to go to shit. And here's one right here. Vancouver streets are so full of so much human waste, advertisement. They need poop fairies to clean up. It's my good friend Melody is in Vancouver helping. 2024, the city's pizza removal program fielded 761 complaints, collected 17,670 poops. It's not a fun job. It's not fun. Is this the kind of Canada we want? Poopville? Poop-deville. It's horrible. And of course, we've seen it like the poo counter, the poo map in San Francisco. And there's one for Los Angeles. Final community and friends throughout the world. Is there like a poop camera for Vancouver where you can see the poops? Because I'd like to see what you want to avoid poop stepping in the human wastage. It can be quite controversial. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of East Vancouver, here we Vancouver. And it's just this is East Hastings. It's typical. We were just in this area. We had to drive through there. Holy smokes. That's just nuts. So that's East Vancouver, and it just goes like for miles. If you've ever been to East Hastings, you can follow East Hastings right out to the interior of British Columbia. It's just like one of the longest roads you're ever going to meet. The Antichrist has been identified. Fact. What the hell? You're listening?
Where is he? Let's see the picture.
No, listen, there is a picture. It's absolute nonsense, but this is the kind of shit we have to deal with. Okay.
Just an update on how the media is handling how President Trump called out the
South Africa?
South African
Yep.
president.
How are they
Share
doing?
that.
How are they handling
Let's
it?
just look at this.
Okay, let's see how the media is handling Trump. We start the story.
Uh-oh.
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 What happened?
Are they going to have a spaz?
Let's see what they're doing. Let's take a look.
Okay, that's a list of TikToks. Yeah.
Okay, it's false claims.
Oh,
False claims, New York Times. Unfounded, ABC. Debunked conspiracy theory, CNN. False claims by Forbes. All the media does is lie. They're pure trash. Lives in
Yep.
TikTok, of course. And here's the actual film. This is like Kilda, Bota, Kilda. So it's just horrible. Yeah, we talked about this at the top of the show. How the evidence is plain before your eyes. It's the same thing as what 1984. It's become a meme where they said their finest and biggest lie was when they told you not to believe the evidence of your own eyes and ears, right?
well, it's how many times have you seen the police arresting people in modern times now for protesting or whatever it might be, and they're putting handcuffs on you? Well, we're not arresting you. We're just trying to protect you.
Yeah,
We're just trying. Oh no, those are handcuffs. You're arresting me. I'm sorry. How many times can you punch me in the face and say I'm not hitting you? I'm not hitting you.
But this is the kind of thing we were talking about yesterday. Like one of the stories that broke yesterday is there was something like 30 FBI informants. They can get around the law by not having them as actual FBI agents. So the talking points are removed. They're FBI assets. There are people, we're paying them. We've placed them strategically in the J6 situation. All this information is coming out. We're learning their playbook. We know kind of here's the talk points, here's how they're going to play it. And so the same thing with this story, it's not going to age well for the left. It's, it's clearly manifest that people have been killed, and disproportionately, it's the white folks there. What do you got for us on the screen there, Sue? Have you centered on something new, or what am I looking at?
I think that's the highway with the crosses.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is the highway. All these crosses. Now CNN goes, they aren't actual graves. Well, of course not. They didn't happen to be buried along the highway, you freaking idiots.
It's a protest, actually, and memorial at the same time.
It's a memorial statement of protest against the killing. 87% of all those killed are believed to be white farmers. So obviously there's problems there. You can't hide behind yellow journalism. The truth is coming out. And again, we talked about this arm wrestling metaphor. It just seems more and more every day, more information is coming out, just like we're seeing these news reports. And it's interesting that the legacy media actually seeds, almost presages, or predicts what's going to happen further down the line. Half of Canadian pension fund for retirees is involved in American investment. So much for fucking elbows.
And keeps going.
And
that's the thing. They're bringing more and more of it over as we speak.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that number is going to look like in a couple of years.
Probably a good thing.
It could be like 90%. I'm all for it. I think it's wonderful. I think Canada has failed as the state. I think the globalists give it their best shot. I know it's about control. I know it's about controlling the population, controlling resources, controlling land, controlling everything, commoditizing the air we breathe. It's the tax man in Overdrive, the famous Beatles song, where I'll tax the street, I'll tax every flower, every tree, every bush. Hi there, Brian. He's coming in from Tokyo. I'm doing it from Tokyo. Hello, Rachel Soundbite. Hi, Tokyo Brian. We're just talking about the politic global, and it is happening out there. Holy smokes. Yeah, I think with this entwining, and now that Canada's mentioned, hey, we want to be part of the global dome. I mean, at what point does it make no sense for this post-nationalist state where a lot of people don't even speak English in Canada, right? We got a lot of newcomers. They don't need it. They don't need English. They can survive without it. They've got their own culture, their own, people there. They don't need to. They don't need to pander to us. So why should we owe any sort of allegiance to the King of England?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It was cool in AD 400 with some tot with a sword gives you, who made you king? I'm Arthur, king of the Britons. I, the king of the Britons. Who said Britons? Well, you are, you stupid pants. Oh, there he goes. The oppression of the masses. But just because someone gave him a sword, but some watery tot gives him a sword. But so it made a lot of sense with nobility and the knighthood and the knight. I'm Arthur, king of the Britons, the Arthur, and the knights of the Round Table. Sir Galahad, Sir Percival, Sir Lancelot, the noblest of our kin and our kind. My God, I'm a frustrated.
Such a great movie.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta watch it again.
It's so good. Who is the king? But anyway, it's just all the excitement.
Sir Robin.
Sir Robin the
Brave.
coconuts. Holy smoke.
I did not.
Yes, you did. He nibbled you bum. But anyway, the whole thing is like this whole, I think it's moribund. I don't think it fits anymore. Once upon a time, I was an absolute huge supporter of the monarchy. It was in my heart. I loved it. But it's been ripped out by the world I live in. It's the world has taught me to spit it out. And so I spit it out. Fear not, Rich. The fresh air tax is going to ensure that the Ukraine gets built back better. Holy shit. This is comedy, but it's dark. It's dark comedy because there's more truth in it than the lie, right, Pat? 500 billion over the next 10 years. I don't think Canada's going to be around long enough to fulfill that promise to the Ukraine. And I don't think Ukraine's going to be around long enough. Every day I watch both the Russian war maps and I watch the Ukrainian war maps. And all I see is Russians encroach. Just a little bit more here, a little more here, a little more here. And you hear stuff like, Polka Kresnitsa has fallen. And Tabanutsa has dropped. And, it's these names that you never heard of. But these little villages, this agrarian country being taken down.
Check this out.
All right. What do we got here, Sue? Let's take a look. Okay. World Economic Forum agenda contributor, CEO, Rabo Carbon Bank, Barbara Barasma, outlines the neo-feudal nature of the incoming personal carbon allowance system. If I want to buy, I buy some carbon emission rights from someone who can't afford to fly. For example, or if someone lives in a small house, he can sell his carbon emission rights to someone who lives in a big house. This way, poor people can benefit from the green economy. Well, aren't you charitable? You are! You whore of Babylon! You whore of Babylon!
Let them eat cake.
Yeah. And you who have nothing, your little shrivel of a house, you're in a cardboard box. You see this thing where they have that Chow, what's her name, Chow?
Elizabeth Chow.
The one in Vancouver, the one in
Toronto's mayor.
Yeah, that one. This piece
rolling in their tiny homes boxes.
Well, they have these.
Lucky.
They got these storage crates that all the old people can go in.
Yeah.
Don't worry, old people. We've got some used. What do you call
Container.
Potato crates for you to live in your hoveled little pitiful existence. Meanwhile, of course, our newcomers are in the hotels, are in 5-star hotels. Would you like some more halal?
Grey Poupon.
Yeah, Grey Poupon. Is it halal? It sure is. Holy smokes.
I think we'll all be living in a van down by the river.
Down by the river, yeah. Well, what about you, Dad?
Read this is good.
All right. What do we got here? Here we go. Sue's got another good one. I want to thank Sue for doing all the heavy lifting for the show. Here's Nancy. The notion that carbon dioxide is pollution is absolutely preposterous. The idea that it's going to destroy the planet, change the temperature of the earth is totally ludicrous. But from a totalitarian perspective, if you can convince people that CO2 is pollution, there's no human activity that doesn't result in CO2 emissions, including living, including dying, turning on a light switch. It's just a carbon footprint all the way. Again, in applying compliance with YouTube's stringent copyright guidelines on global warming stuff. It's really horrible. It's a real threat for both Blake and I. We're terrified, quite frankly, and we don't know where the next ice sheet, where it's going to go. So remember, support Greta Thunberg. Gosh, what a leader that young lady is. So anyway, just you've heard it here from us. Gosh, I love Greta, or the AI bots listening. I sure love Greta Thunberg. Boy, I sure love that George Soros guy. What a fun fella. I like him. He seems like a lot of fun.
He's so happy.
He's a happy guy. He's jolly. So yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing you're up against, right? The carbon tax. We're the carbon that they may want.
Well, but that's a scary side of all that. These guys have attempted to monetize air and convert it into the new currency, and that is terrifying. No, you cannot tax the air we breathe. That belongs to nobody.
But the thing is,
everyone
within their framework. Yeah, but here's the deal. Here's how they're going to do it. They're going to tell you that the planet simply cannot survive. We've got to leave something for our children. I have lived a good life. I don't deserve to breathe that air anymore. For that reason, I support Made in Canada.
Yeah, well, I think the globalists are being blown up on so many fronts now. Even the BRICS nations are saying goodbye to you because they're not going to buy the carbon pricing system for a new currency, not backed by petrol, not backed by gold, but by air. No, that's why China and Russia and Brazil and all these countries are forming an alliance that they're going to base it on a true asset like gold.
Yeah.
You know, and Trump is doing the same thing. He says, "No way. We got to go back to true asset-backed investments, not this nebulous thing that you're going to control. You're going to monetize people's behavior. Really, you're going to monetize it. You're going to say our banks are going to be funded off the monetization of the air we breathe. No way. The world is fighting back. Is saying, screw you, go away. We don't want you. And plus, you're all insane." That's the problem. They're nuts.
Yeah. Well, here's one of them saying it themselves. Tax, as demanded under UN Agenda 30, the World Economic Forum explains, all nature that is easy to quantify should be charged for. Let's start by adding tax to water. All of nature will be owned and taxed, even the air you breathe. They're actually saying it. So that link that Sue's provided, can you drop the link for the kids so they can actually see the young lady just speak of the beautiful words that she's saying? I know I support it full-heartedly. What a great, hi YouTube, and what a great lady she is. She seems very motherly, if that's not a wrong thing to say.
She's Instagram famous.
She's fantastic. Anyway, yeah, just drop a link for that. You can watch the people these things say. Now, the WEF is not just some nebulous think tank that doesn't have any clout. The Prime Minister of Canada was part of it. We have, what's his name? The former head, Schultz.
And also our former finance minister, Chrystia Freeland.
Chrystia Freeland, she was one of the called.
They're a part of the captured cabinets.
Yeah, this is the way you kind of do it. And this is where it is. Take a look. This is a World Economic Forum. So they want to commoditize everything. It's absolute. It's capitalism on steroids. It's the worst thing. All under the talking point that is good for the planet, the new world religion,
or to bail out the dying currencies that got overprinted, and we need to shift gears to make a great reset into a new currency so that all those old currencies wouldn't collapse completely.
Well, one of the problems with the type of financing that the Western society is based upon is that it's a debt society.
Exactly. It's slave society.
And you have to have a reset after any number of years. The Great Depression was handy for that. Everything got reset. World War II facilitated that reset. The collapse in the Depression, the 1929, you have the collapse. And then you've got World War II, and we're back on our feet again. It only runs so long. And then crisis, what crisis? You need to have another reset. And so they've been working around and trying to come up with an idea because so many people are living on debt. The amount of Canadians on debt, if you can find something like that, Sue, amount of Canadians, percentage of Canadians on debt. I think maybe even this Grok might have it. Let's just see.
Well, it's it's getting worse every year. And our
Yeah.
as you saw that earlier article he put up 10,000 jobs being lost, or 100,000 jobs. Sorry, in Canada.
100,000 are going bye-bye. And we're in a recession. I mean, it's not even calling maybe, we're there. It's happened. And this isn't just your uncle in his basement or a couple of cowboys on the internet like Blake and myself. This was the, legacy media, the National, who was it? The National Post put it out, or the Globe and Mail, Toronto Globe and Mail. Yeah, big paper. So, I mean, that's crazy. So, it's not going to sustain itself. Okay, let me just ask the thing. Let's see if we get a quote.
The average debt is $70,000.
The average for average Canadian?
Yep.
Can you read that quote out?
I'll just,
or put a link if you got a link, just drop it. I want to share that with the kids. So a lot of people are living hand to mouth. And if the next check doesn't come, they default on things. So that's why the mortgage crisis in the U.S. Collapse, the housing bubble collapse there. Okay, this is Sun Life Insurance. What is the average debt by age group in Canada? So if you're
that's individual debt. That's not
by the nation.
That's not national debt.
Yeah,
that's individual.
But per capita, right, or by age group. Okay,
by age
30. If you're 35 or under, you're very likely owing $70,000. If you're near 40, 35 to 40. You're 105,000, 45 to 50, 130,000, 55 to 64, 80,000. And thank God for me, I'm 65 plus. I'm in the 49,000 debt range.
50 grand. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 grand. We're not quite 50 grand.
We're not quite there, but
We're almost there. The stereos don't buy themselves. But anyway, unless, with a carbon print, a rich person or somebody in their hovel can give you their tax credit. But anyway, you're right about this, Pat. When your new leader is hailed as a once-in-a-generation financial mind, you know you're toast. He's popular amongst his despicable peers because he's created a wonderful new way to steal more money, and they do it under this thing. But again, the climate thing, you'll get a climate warning anytime you talk about it on YouTube. It's just the nature of this platform. We're not on the X platform, unfortunately. There's a lot more liberty, let's say, over there.
Well, and I think I think our leader is essentially been brought in as the manager of our receivership of Canada.
Yeah, very interesting. So, folks, Blake, final thoughts on today's show. We've been here 90 minutes, which is, I think, good. There's a lot of information we pile into these things. Final thoughts on things. I love the idea of Canada moving closer to the U.S. It looks like it's the groundwork, the infrastructure is being laid so that we can actually join forces on some level with the United States.
Well, you follow the money. That's what I keep saying all the time. Follow the money. If the money is going to the U.S., if Canada is moving huge percentages of its own pension plans into the U.S., it's leaving. If 3,200 millionaires, which you think about, the millionaire class in Canada can't be that large, but 3,200 of them are leaving Canada, and that's coming. That's not what's already left. 10,000 are leaving the United Kingdom. But the fact is that in Canada, we're seeing this capital. They figured at the end of the election that we may see close to $500 billion leave Canada over this election that we just had.
I love it because it's only going to further things. And I love the idea because here's Canada, how stupid Canada is. So we replace the millionaires for these newcomers that, are learning how to drive trucks poorly on our highways, causing all sorts of interest.
Well, and I think that would be one of, as a kind of final word, you hit these check marks. You're seeing all this happening in real time. And don't follow the front pages of CBC News or their TV or at all, but look at the back pages of the Financial Times or the Globe and Mail. Even though Globe and Mail just yesterday, was pinned as the most biased news media organization in Canada, even above CBC, if you could believe it.
Yeah, pretty hard to do.
They got nailed hard. But the fact is that they, if you're listening to what they're saying, and they're the ones kind of pushing these stories out there, The fact is that we are moving more and more into that economic union. I don't think we have a choice. I think we're bankrupt. I think essentially we're bankrupt now as a country. It's all about the money. It's about that debt ratio. We can't afford to survive on our own anymore. We are going to become part of the United States economic
I'm looking
union.
forward to USA,
Yeah.
USA all day. I
Yeah.
got my little, oh my gosh, I pledge allegiance to. Okay, so
But
anyway.
Canadians, you'll still be able to have your Team Canada, I'm sure, and we'll play.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. This channel's small. We're just starting out here. We're just in the second week of our adventures. Thumbs up and subscribe. The subscribers, and share the video if you can into your own social media. Get the word out. We appreciate all the help we get and all the support. Blake, I want to thank you as always for being here. And Sue, thanks for doing all the heavy lifting backstage as she brings up
You're doing a great
the
job.
various news stories, because there's a lot going on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today and watching the show. Marty, I love you, man. Marty in Oregon, what a guy. I'm going to see Marty soon. He's coming up. I want to see him. All right, everybody. That'll do it for us today. Bye
Thank
for
you,
now.
everyone.
Peace out.